Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. Jota. One more day, and we have more stories to talk about today, even with this international break going on. And today we'll be talking about pretty much about the players that might leave and what it's going to be a thorough remodel of the club in terms of players that will leave Real Madrid next year in summer, and this is very important. We will also be talking about the latest news regarding to Mendy and Paris Saint-Germain. Very interesting news because it's something that already happened last month of May, before Mendy got injured. PSG tried to offer a very good salary to the player to sign for Paris Saint-Germain for the next year. So apparently they are doing the same thing again. And we will also be talking about the most important news, which is the days left for Kylian Mbappe to sign his new contract with Real Madrid, and the reason why there's no chance anymore for Paris Saint-Germain to retain the player in the club. And well, I will let you know by the end of the video. So let's get started with the players that apparently will leave Real Madrid next summer. And this is very important because they are talking about a thorough, remodelation of the club in terms of players that have to go out of the squad right after the end at the end of the season. When the season is over, they will be leaving Real Madrid for different reasons. There are a bunch of players that for different reasons will no longer play for Real Madrid. For example, let's get started with the players whose contracts expire in 2022. I'm talking about Gareth Bale, I'm talking about Isco Alarcón, and I'm talking about as well Marcelo Vieira. As you know, these players are not important anymore for Real Madrid. Gareth Bale is injured, but apparently even when he's okay, when he gets back, when he recovers 100% to be able to be available for Carlo Ancelotti, he is not the kind of player we want to keep in the squad, and apparently Real Madrid will not renew his contract, which is great because his salary is completely insane and there's no room enough in the books for a salary. It's not because the salary is so big. The problem is how few Gareth Bale is delivering to Real Madrid to make that salary. You know what I'm saying? So to me, Gareth Bale will be one of the players that will get out of the squad as soon as June the 2022, right? That is Gareth Bale, and it is not only about that. As you know, Gareth Bale, has been involved in a lot of controversies regarding to the different, calls that he has received from the national team of Wales to go there and play, and then he's able to play there, but he's not able to play here in Real Madrid because he's always injured and things like that. So just for all these kind of things, Gareth Bale will no longer a Real Madrid player and will not extend his contract. Real Madrid will not extend his contract beyond June 2022. And then the next player is Isco Alarcón. Isco Alarcón will not continue his career in Real Madrid just because, he's what in my opinion, he's way in the bottom of the list of Carlo Ancelotti for the lineups and all the stuff. And the only reason why Carlo Ancelotti is still calling him for different games, it is because just in case something happened and we don't have any replacement for players like Luka Modric or Casemiro or even Toni Kroos, then we can take advantage from Isco Alarcón. But in the middle of that, there are players like Camavinga or Fede Valverde who, in my opinion, are ahead in the pick of Carlo Ancelotti to pick them up and put them in the lineup. So there's no chance for Isco Alarcón to keep playing in Real Madrid and be valuable for Real Madrid. So he will probably go out of the squad in June, the next month of June 2022. And the third one is, of course, Marcelo Vieira. Marcelo Vieira, as you know, is a player that is still there because he has, a lot of time in Real Madrid. And the only reason why he is still there is because I think that he wants to finish his career as a soccer player in Real Madrid. And he will make it until the end of his contract in June 2022. But beyond that, Real Madrid, I don't think that Real Madrid is interested in prolonging or extending his contract beyond that point. So he will probably leave as well Real Madrid in the next month of June 2022. And then we have two other different players who, for different reasons, will get out of the squad and really quick. And I'm not talking about June, I might be talking about January. I'm talking about Eden Hazard, number 1, and Luka Jovic, number 2. As you know, Eden Hazard is no longer a very reliable player for Carlo Ancelotti, so he might not play again for Real Madrid. And apparently, according to all the rumors and information, Real Madrid is looking for an option to get rid of the player right quick. If we can get rid of the player in next January, that'd be great. And apparently, Newcastle is one of the teams interested in signing the player for the next year. So they might get a kind of loan of the player and then buy the player in June. I don't know what the formula is going to be, but in my opinion, Hazard, his days in Real Madrid are completely done. So let's see what happens. But to me, it is gotta be impossible for him to continue in Real Madrid unless he changed completely, he changed his mind and then start to work harder for Real Madrid. And Luka Jovic, as far as Luka Jovic, let me tell you, it is a kind of weird situation because I think that Carlo Ancelotti really likes Luka Jovic. Problem is, if you take in account all the players, super big names that are coming into Real Madrid next year, it is almost impossible for him to have a chance to stay in Real Madrid and be able to play, right? If Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe or even Benzema are still in Real Madrid, I don't think Carlo Ancelotti will give him any other opportunity ahead of these players, you know what I'm saying? So he will probably try to find another route or a better option for him in his future. So these 5 players will be, or are actually the players with the most chances to get out of Real Madrid right quick, whether January or June. So that is going to be the completely remodelation of the squad for the next decade and for the next season. So now let's move on and let's talk about another player, very important player, and very interesting news because Paris Saint-Germain, according to Miguel Serrano, Paris Saint-Germain is trying again to sign Ferland Mendy. And the reason for that is because back in May, before we played against Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain already tried to sign Ferland Mendy for the next season. And apparently, all these things are because it's a kind of retaliation for the signing of Kylian Mbappe for Real Madrid, and that's why Paris Saint-Germain are very interested in signing Ferland Mendy and get one of the best players of Real Madrid in return, you know what I'm saying? So the thing is, they are throwing a lot of money on the table. They are throwing a crazy salary for the player, close to 7.5 million a season, versus the 4.5 million he's making right now in Real Madrid, to sign the player right quick. So that's why we heard all those rumors last summer about Ferland Mendy asking for a raise of salary to Real Madrid. And apparently Real Madrid was not willing to give him that raise because they have to wait a little bit more before to extend his contract and see if the player really deserves a raise or something like that. To me, he deserves it, right? But it's still soon. I don't think Ferland Mendy is really interested in start any kind of talk or conversation with Real Madrid as far as his salary, because his salary is still good for a player who, in my opinion, if he keeps performing this way, maybe 1 or 2 years down the road, we'll see a salary raise so he doesn't have to push hard to Florentino Perez to give him a raise. There's no point in that. So the thing here is, how interested is Ferland Mendy in signing Paris Saint-Germain? In my opinion, he's not interested in signing Paris Saint-Germain at all. My opinion is Ferland Mendy is very important for Real Madrid. He feels important for Carlo Ancelotti and Ferland Mendy, and the best proof of that, it is because right after when he went through the injury process and he finally recovered and has been available for Carlo Ancelotti, he came back to the lineup. He didn't have to start from the bench. He came back to the lineup and, he put aside completely to Miguel Gutierrez, who was, until that day, he was being the best pick or the number one pick of Carlo Ancelotti for that position, for the left wing. You know what I'm saying? So even with that, he knows that he's the most important left back of Real Madrid for Carlo Ancelotti. So there's no other player ahead of him. And of course, he has reasons enough to think that if he stays in Real Madrid, his career will be great, and he has all the chances, all the reasons to succeed in Real Madrid, and there's actually no reason for him to join Paris Saint-Germain right now. There's no point. So I don't think that is going to happen, but of course Paris Saint-Germain will try their best to, harm Real Madrid or try to hijack a important player or try to, they are very upset, right? So let's be honest at this point. Paris Saint-Germain, can stand for the signing of Kylian Mbappe for Real Madrid. They can with that. It's completely something that makes them nuts, So that is why they are trying all the time to, pick these players and these others and see if they can sign some of the most important players of Real Madrid for them. But what they don't know is that is not going to happen, because right now there's no a single player, in my opinion, of Real Madrid really interested in joining a project which is, in my opinion, something that is kind of a bluff. There's no point in the project of Paris Saint-Germain. It is something I don't like at all, and I don't think they are going to be successful in the near future. Even with those big names like Sergio Ramos or even Leo Messi or Neymar or even now Kylian Mbappe, they are a very normal team who, in my opinion, maybe in the near future, maybe in the middle term, maybe in the long future can work, but not now. So I don't think that there's any Real Madrid player really interested in signing Paris Saint-Germain. But let's see what happens. And now let me move forward and let's talk about the most important news, which is, again, Paris Saint-Germain, Kylian Mbappe, and Real Madrid. The reason for that is because today in Bernabeu Digital reminded us that there's only 52 days left for the player to be free to sign a new contract with whoever he wants. And there's 99% chance for being Real Madrid the destination of Kylian Mbappe, and in my opinion, he will sign his contract with Real Madrid next January, the 2022, as soon as he becomes a free agent again, right? So there's only 52 days left, but there's another more powerful reason why I do think he will sign for Real Madrid, and that is pretty much that we haven't heard in a while Paris Saint-Germain trying to renew his contract. And that is very important because last month of October, I think it was the last time, September, October, it was the last time we heard something about a possible new offer to renew the contract of Kylian Mbappe for Paris Saint-Germain. But it didn't happen. It didn't come through. It was not successful. And of course, Kylian Mbappe is still convinced that his next destination is going to be Real Madrid. Doesn't mean, though, he will play for Real Madrid as of next January. He will sign a contract with Real Madrid next January, but he will probably arrive to Madrid in June, in summer, right? But to me, there's no obstacle in the way right now. There's no any concern about Kylian Mbappe and his transfer to Real Madrid, because right now Paris Saint-Germain has nothing to do to avoid Kylian Mbappe to sign for Real Madrid. You know what I'm saying? So from a Real Madrid perspective, man, this is almost over. It's almost done deal, and there's, like I said, only 52 days left for Kylian Mbappe to sign the contract with Real Madrid. As you know, Real Madrid will try to do this in a very quiet way, so anybody, Paris Saint-Germain fans, whether Paris Saint-Germain fans or even Al-Khelaifi, notices it and say, hey, these guys are doing something illegal or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Real Madrid will try to make the things very quiet, in a very, quiet way, so anybody knows about that until it's impossible to get back and see how Mbappe ends playing for Real Madrid. So very good news for us, and let's see what happens, guys. This is all I had for you all guys today. Now let me know your thoughts about that, and of course, subscribe my channel, Real Madrid Hub.